conservative new media viewers, Jeremy Lin fans around the world. What's up? It's me, PFV, Paul F. Villarreal, the NBA expert, and we're here to discuss the Brooklyn Nets 113 to 132 loss tonight, or I should say 132 to 113, to the Toronto Raptors in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. The Nets were playing on a back-to-back. They fall to 8-31 on the season. I believe that their current 9-game losing streak is the longest of any NBA team so far this season. Toronto improves to 26-13 on the year. What happened in this game? What happened in this game was that Brooklyn played 3/4 of the best offensive basketball that they've played this year. And then they fell apart in the fourth quarter. Toronto picked up the defense. Toronto got very hot. And all of a sudden, the Nets got really cold shooting. And Toronto put an avalanche onto Brooklyn like in the first 4 minutes of the fourth quarter. They had already outscored them by 16 points. And then you had a 17-point game, and it was nearly over that fast. Toronto is one of the 5 or 6 best teams in the league. They're playing at home. They're rested. Brooklyn's the worst team in the league right now, statistically. They're missing Jeremy Lin, and they are playing on a back-to-back, and they just got crushed in that in that fourth quarter. And it's really unfortunate that this happened because, man, did Brooklyn play great for the first 3/4 of the game. I mean, they looked just tremendous. This is probably the best that the team has looked, and in this version of the team, like with some of the younger guys contributing, and that they've looked all year. And that's why it's really unfortunate that they got beaten so badly, because it just looks like a blowout and they were never in the game, and that's definitely not what happened. Let me just say a couple things before I talk more about this game in particular. Hope you're having a good Friday the 13th, which is here in the American culture a kind of like a superstitious thing, like it's supposed to be a bad day or an unlucky day. So that's kind of interesting that we have that today. The Jeremy Lin bobblehead doll night is coming up in the next game. So that will take place on Sunday at Barclays Center. And I believe the first 10,000 fans will get a Jeremy Lin bobblehead doll. So if you're interested in that, maybe hopefully you can get a ticket and get to the game early and grab one of those. It is also Taiwanese cultural night at Barclays Center, so that should be fun. I was unable to make a video last night. Something came up for me that I had to take care of after the game ended, right around when it ended. So sorry about that. I just couldn't avoid it, but we're doing tonight's game. Finally, Jeremy spoke with CCTV in China, which is China Central Television. He spoke with somebody on there. I did not get to see the interview myself, but he apparently told the interviewer that he's hoping to be back like in 1 week or a couple of weeks. And he also said if it were up to him, he would already be back and playing right now. So this goes to the very cautious nature that we've discussed before of the Brooklyn Nets and the Brooklyn Nets performance team. Jeremy referenced it in an interview that the performance team, do tests on him like every single day or something like that on the leg. They do x-rays, they do MRIs, they do strength tests and so forth. And it just looks like they do not want their players coming back from an injury until they're totally 100% healthy. And sometimes it seems like a little too much. But in this situation, given that they're out of the playoff chase, and given that Jeremy has already had another hamstring injury this season, I'm okay with it. Could he play now? Yeah, he probably could play now. But that's not the way they handle things. They like to strengthen everything, get everything up to par, Not only do they treat the area where you're injured, they strengthen your core, they strengthen other things. So it's a long-term plan. So guys are out less time. Even though there's more time on the front end when you're coming back, they're hoping that on the back end you don't get hurt as much. This has just been a tough year for Jeremy with injuries, and now he's on a really hypersensitive team with physical therapy and recovery. And so this is what you get. But hopefully he'll be back in a relatively short period of time. I do think it is a grade 1 injury because the timetable fits that. And like I said, hopefully he'll be back sooner rather than later. Now, let's return to talking about this game. As I mentioned, the Nets played exceptionally well for 3 quarters. This was a 1-point game after 3 quarters, Toronto up 1. What I really like about this game is I like the way that the bench looked in this game. There were other good things too, but the bench looked really good. It was Randy Foye at point guard, Karis LeVert shooting guard, Sean Kilpatrick small forward, Rondae Hollis-Jefferson power forward, and Justin Hamilton playing at center. What's great with that lineup, and remember, Randy Foye will probably not be playing as much when Jeremy comes back, and also Isaiah Whitehead was out of this, so they were missing 2 point guards. A couple of things that are good about this. Number one, Sean Kilpatrick is not playing point guard as much. Sean is good. He's probably best as a scorer. He's not as good handling and passing the ball. So you're having more of true point guards handling the ball. Jeremy, Isaiah Whitehead, Spencer Dinwiddie. Those are 3 true, real point guards. Randy Foye's not a true point guard, but he's more experienced than Sean Kilpatrick is. He knows how to make plays, and he won't get you into too much trouble usually. So that's good. Also, what's good about this lineup is it's relatively younger, except for Randy. Several of the guys in the lineup are just starting to kind of figure it out right now. Karis LeVert really starting to come on. Spencer Dinwiddie starting to settle in. Justin Hamilton, he's over the several weeks there of the migraine headaches because of the contact lens issue. Randy Foye, he played some of his best basketball this season tonight. Also, I think Joe Harris is starting to figure it out. Of course, he's now playing as a starter, but guys are starting to kind of find themselves right now, and a number of them are in the bench lineup. And so not only did they play well in this game, hopefully they'll be able to carry that forward to future games as well. And when Jeremy comes back, when Isaiah Whitehead is back from the little knee injury that he suffered, the bench should only get stronger, and the point guard position should only get stronger. That's, as we've mentioned before, that's a real weakness of this team. Now, it's not going to become a strong point, but if Spencer Dinwiddie figures it out a little bit more, he's got a little bit of experience. I think he's got more experience than Isaiah Whitehead does. And then you even have Randy Foye to kind of help you out below those 3 players. Now you can actually start having real offensive direction and guidance from the floor general position. That's huge. That's really big. And the Nets were great at playmaking and decision making throughout this game, and you can see it clearly in the statistics. 26 assists, only 11 turnovers. That's close to 3-1. That is fantastic for a team, and that goes exactly to what I just said, which is good point guard play, good decision making, and hopefully this is the beginning of an increased level of performance at that position. That is the most problematic thing that the Nets have faced this year, is their performance and health of their point guards. So that's just really big, and I hopefully they'll be able to continue it for tonight. Now, the Raptors did shoot 54% from the field, and obviously that's higher than what you want it to be. They are a very good offensive team. They're very good playing in their own building. But the Nets' defense wasn't perfect, but their offense was exceptionally good. They hit 17 three-pointers in this game. They shot 47% for the game. It was much higher than that until the fourth quarter. Nets, I think they were above 50% going into the fourth quarter. The other area that really hurt the Nets tonight, in addition to the overall defensive difficulties, was offensive rebounds by the Toronto Raptors. The Nets had 4 offensive rebounds. Toronto had 13 offensive rebounds, which kept alive possessions and allowed them to score more second chance points. But it's very hard for me to be downbeat about this game. Brooklyn played so well, and they looked so good for such a long time in this game, particularly on a back-to-back on the road. This was a real achievement for the team, and I'm just gonna be more focused on the positives of this game than I am the negatives. They really think they're starting to turn a corner tonight. Now let's discuss the statistics for Brooklyn in this game. Bojan Bogdanovic, 23 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. Brook Lopez, 20 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists. Joe Harris, 11 points, 4 rebounds. Spencer Dinwiddie, who got the start tonight with Jeremy and Isaiah hurt, 10 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 0 turnovers. Trevor Booker, 6 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. Luis Scola did play 5 minutes at the end when the game was out of reach, as did Quincy Acee. Both of them were not in the normal rotation, though. So, and I think that's good. Although Quincy might be able to break in as he gets more used to the team, but right now he doesn't know enough to be able to do that. You know, he's not familiar enough with the team and the plays and everything. Rondae Hollis-Jefferson, 5 points, 1 rebound, 3 assists. Justin Hamilton, 11 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. Nice game from him. Karis LeVert didn't have a great game. 3 points on 1 of 5 shooting. Did have 2 turnovers. Sean Kilpatrick, 6 points, 2 rebounds. Randy Foye, 9 points, 3 rebounds, 7 assists, and only 1 turnover. The ball was moving fantastic in this game. Guys were hitting shots. It just looked so good. It's like I really do believe that the team is starting to figure it out. I think that all the tough times to the beginning of the year, and we're almost halfway through now. In fact, now we're game 39. Game 41 is officially halfway through. I do think not only are better times coming, they could be coming relatively soon. The Nets played very hard in this game. Harder than you would expect to see from a team with their record. You're on the road and you're playing on a back-to-back. You're the worst team in the league by record. You don't have a lot to play for, really. But they played very hard. They really wanted to win this game. And it just slipped away from them in the fourth. But I like the effort. I like the fight. And it does really seem as though lessons are starting to take hold. And guys are beginning to settle in and find their way. And this is just a really promising development for tonight. And as I said earlier, that's how I see this. That's the way I'm going to look at this as compared to, oh boy, we fell apart in the fourth quarter. It just was too good for 3 quarters, particularly with so many young guys that you're relying on. I'm very optimistic. And like the thing that's so great now with the second unit is that it's athletic. It's young. Dinwiddie is a big guy. Dinwiddie's like 6'6", 6'7" as a point guard. I mean, he's huge for that position. Karis LeVert, athletic, young, can jump, etc. Sean Kilpatrick, he's athletic. He can get to the rim. Rondae Hollis-Jefferson, he's athletic. Justin Hamilton, not super athletic, but he is a stretch 5. He is a center who can shoot the 3-point shot. What that means is the spacing of the offense is much more wide open. And so you have more room for your athletic players to drive to the basket. So even though Hamilton himself is not athletic, because he can shoot the three-pointer, he frees things up for the other guys who are athletic. I really believe that this bench unit, and then you can interchange Isaiah Whitehead or Randy Foye as your point guard position here, they're going to be able to do some things. When we saw the bench unit early in the year with Luis Scola and some other guys who weren't particularly athletic, it just looked like they couldn't compete against some of these teams. They couldn't compete against the athletes of some of these other teams. Now you've got a squad, you've got a unit who's your second unit, not even your first unit. You've got a second unit where they can compete. They can compete athletically. They can get up and down the floor. They can get to the basket, and etc. It's something that can work. And I'm just like I said, I'm extremely excited about this version of the bench. I'm excited about how Randy Foye played, and I'm excited about the point guard depth that we could have if and when everybody is healthy. So it's just great because, I said, I love Sean Kilpatrick, but he doesn't completely have the skill set to play point guard. And if you play him at point guard a lot, you're going to struggle. And as I mentioned earlier, that's the position that's hurt the Nets so much this season. So if we go from a large negative at that position to neutral or positive, that's going to bring the team up considerably. We know Jeremy can play at that position, just he's missed a lot of games, but who backs him up? Now with Gravis not around anymore, now you've actually got a couple guys. Whitehead's developing well. Dinwiddie, he can do it. He's settling in. Now you might actually have some reasonable backup point guard play. Then you can actually have some offensive success. So that's pretty much it for tonight's game. If you get a chance to watch it, you'll very much enjoy watching the first three quarters because it's some of the best basketball that the team has played this entire season. Okay, let's talk about the next game. As I said, it is the Jeremy Lin bobblehead night. Bobblehead dolls for the first 10,000 fans arriving at Barclays Center. And it is also Taiwanese Culture Night. That game will take place against the Houston Rockets, one of Jeremy's old teams, on Sunday, January 15th, 6 p.m. Eastern Time here in the United States, and you can watch it on Yes Network or on NBA League Pass if you are not able to attend. Houston is an excellent team. They're one of the 5 or 6 best teams in the league, just as Toronto is. James Harden is having an MVP level season, and the reason for that is because Mike D'Antoni, the new Houston head coach, has made James Harden the full-time point guard, and we know that if you're a point guard under Mike D'Antoni, you're going to do really, really well if you have the ability. I'm really happy for Mike D'Antoni that he got the chance to coach again because he deserved it. He had a really rough deal in New York, as we know, and with the Los Angeles Lakers. He's showing how good of a coach he is, and he's showing that he can take various players and completely elevate their games, as he did with Jeremy, as he did with Steve Nash when Nash was a 2-time MVP. And if the award voting was held today, James Harden would win the MVP and deserve to win it. So good for them. We get to see old friends like P. Bev and others, and it's going to be a tough game. The Houston is, some people don't believe in them. They don't think they're completely legit. They're totally legit, particularly for a regular season, the way that they play, the fast break up and down. So it's going to be, expect a tremendous amount of scoring. The Nets are the number 1 pace team in the league, I believe. Houston's way up there, and Houston's offense is one of the top 3 in the league. So there's going to be a lot of points scored, and it should be fun to watch. hopefully Brooklyn will be able to compete so that it's not a Houston blowout, basically. So I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it. I'm really encouraged after tonight's game. I can't overstate that enough. And the Nets bench, I'm looking at it right now. I scored like 40, 45, 50 points. Now they were in a lot of the end of the fourth quarter because it was a blowout, but I know at the end of the first half, the Nets bench had outscored the Raptors bench 22-15. Like I said, one of the things that had to happen this season, and that's progressively been worked on throughout the season, was Kenny Atkinson had to figure out what were his lineups, who should be on the bench, who should play as a starter, who should play with the bench. We know he moved Joe Harris into the starting lineup, and Sean Kilpatrick went to the bench. And it's like I said, the pieces are starting to fit now. It's starting to work now. And the blowout and everything, look, Toronto's a serious contender. I mean, they were in the Eastern Conference Finals last year. They're a cohesive group. They know exactly what they're doing. They're well coached. They have chemistry and continuity. The Nets don't. So when you kind of put two teams with those conditions under a lot of pressure, the team with the more chemistry and the continuity is going to perform better. And that's what happened. So it's not really surprising that it happened. It's hopefully as the Nets can stay in these games and make them competitive into the fourth quarter, they'll be able to learn, they'll start to develop that ability themselves. And that's what we're looking for. But just to wrap it up, I really thought this was a step forward tonight for the group. They showed a lot of heart. They played fantastic. And let's try to take that performance through the first three quarters and that positivity and bring it over into the Houston game. Hopefully Jeremy will return to practice relatively soon. I mean, again, my guess is something like 7 to 10 days, something like that. Hopefully Isaiah Whitehead will be back soon. Let's get healthy and let's roll. Let's play some basketball like we played for much of tonight. Hope you're having a great night or great day wherever you are around the world when you watch this video. Once again, I'm PFV Paul F. Villarreal, the NBA expert. Thanks a lot for watching Conservative New Media. We strive to be the #1 Jeremy Lin YouTube fan channel. Hang in there if you have a chance and you're around the city, New York. Get there for the Jeremy Lin bobblehead doll giveaway. First 10,000 fans, Sunday, January 15th. Brooklyn Nets host the Houston